Something? What something? What about Joanna? Joanna, did you attend? Cherisha, Joanna, what you all understood? Okay, I think only Mariana has done. Ninth standard, what is that ninth standard, Mariana? Hmm. X-axis, Y-axis. Right. Whoever has solved, at least this first question, students, can you tell me how do you solve this first question? What did you understand by this? Find the coordinate of point P. Okay, so how do you solve the first question? Can you tell me what you all understood? Find the coordinates of point P which divides a line segment. Any one of you all, which formula we use and how we solve this? Anyone can explain. Okay. No, no, you can't see her. Okay, check your textbook and let me answer. Be quick. Be okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. And plus that. And you know what is this X? Why they have named it as X1, X2, Y1, Y2, M, N? Okay, M1 plus N1. Fine. Tell me, Ivania, what did you say? Okay, X and Y coordinate. What about this X1, Y1? Even they are coordinates. Fine. And the coordinates of point P. See, if you learn like this, student, this is the way we solve it using formulas. But practically, I think you all didn't understand the concept. Okay, practically, you all haven't understood, I guess. Wait, let me share a graph and teach. Okay, can you see the screen now? I've shared it again. See, I'll tell where we use this. You all need to know the practical application. All these days, the other chapter, whatever we studied, midpoint, not midpoint, GST, banking, all that is fine, arithmetic. When it comes to geometry, this is very basic concept. Okay, now let me keep a point here, A and B. There are 2 points here, students, A and B. How will you measure the distance between them? How will you measure? What are the different instruments we use? Tell me, how will you measure the distance between A and B? Using what? Can we use a scale? If it is in a paper, we can use a scale. Okay. If it is physically, like two students are standing, how do you measure? How do you measure the distance? We use tape, tape to measure, right? Yes, we use tape or any 2 points. If you want to measure any 2 points, we use a tape. But when it comes to studies, practically we can't measure the distance. For example, can you measure the distance between your school and which is this Tom's scale. Using a scale, is it practically possible? Or your school and Coles Park, is it practically possible using a scale? Practical, right? We use a tape. So that image, the same image, if you want to get it into a graph sheet, just imagine your school SFX and Tom's Bakery, or let's take Coles Park. Okay, these are the 2 points which you have to get it in the graph sheet. If you get it in graph sheet, we have to reduce the distance. For studies purpose, we have to reduce. You can't practically study. Okay, here we make the use of 2 points, that is called as coordinates. When you get it into graph sheet, to measure the distance, we use the word called coordinate. So coordinates are nothing but x-axis and y-axis. What do you mean by coordinate? Together x-axis and y-axis. Now let's take this graph. I keep a point here. I'll name it as A. Okay. Let me take a graph sheet like this. There are a lot of lines here. So we'll start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. In the same way, this is y-axis. Y-axis. Just for representing them or distance. Usually for distance we take graph sheet. To represent them we take x-axis and y-axis. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. So let me keep a dot here. Point. Can you tell me the value of this? Can you tell me the value of this dot? How will you check? First you have to check the x-axis, right? What is x-axis value? What's the number? 2. And y-axis? What's the value? Value is 2. Yes. So x-axis and y-axis lie on 2, 2. Fine. This is known as coordinate. Both put together we call it as coordinate. Okay. All of you will concentrate. Easy topic. If you'll study like this entire chapter is easy. So this is what you call coordinates, where 2 points lie. I'll name it as A. Next, I'll take some other point. Another student A, another student B is standing at this position. Can you tell me the position of B with respect to this graph? What will be the position of B? According to coordinates, first you have to check x-axis. So 5, and where does this point go towards y-axis? 5, 4. So the position of A and B in terms of graph is A is nothing but 2, 2, and the position of B is 5, 4. Okay. And what is this 2? Is it x-axis or y-axis? Whatever we take first, we call it as x-axis. Whatever you take second, you call it as y-axis. So this is known as points A and B. So to measure the distance, now we have to measure the distance. How will you measure the distance? If it is a graph sheet, can we use a scale? If we use a scale, can we measure them? Right? The other way. Yeah, 9th standard. This is what Mariana told. 9th standard, we use this graph. From 8th standard or 7th, we have been studying. In 9th, we had a topic called distance between 2 points. Remember, we studied distance between 2 points. How do you find x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square? Okay, you can't use ruler. If you use ruler, you'll get the answer. But without using a ruler, this is the formula. Use this formula, students. Can you use the formula and find the distance between 2 points? See, you can take A and B, 2 points A and B. A is 2, 2, B. So A you can take it as x1, y1. So why do we take x1, y1, x2, y2? Because there are a lot of x values here, right? When there are a lot of x values, you take it as x1, y1, x2, y2. Now find the distance. What will be the distance? x2 is nothing but, look at the graph, 5 minus x1 is equals to 2, the whole square, plus what is y2? 4 minus 5 minus 2 the whole square. 5 minus 2 is 3 square plus 2 square. What's the answer? 9 plus 4 is square root of 230. Okay, so the distance between A and B students in terms of units, it is root 13 units. Root 13 units. Fine. So just assume SFX, your school is at point A, and Coles Park or some other location is at point B. If you want to get it in terms of graph, or if you want to minimize it, you call it as scaling. What do you call that process? You call scaling. Okay, the scaling is nothing but to reduce and increase the size. That's it. That is known as scaling. The practical application is, do you know how to use Google Map? Have you all used Google Map, all of you all? Well, you've used Google Map, right? Yes, you put the location, the entire distance students, whatever distance, even from here to farthest places, you can get the entire distance in Google Map. Even there, they use this system called coordinate system. Coordinate is nothing but they use X and Y. Basically, graph. Okay, all the large distance, they made it into short. That is why we use coordinate system. In that, there are 3 to 4 topics. One is distance, how to find distance. The same concept is used in Google Maps. Okay, so first point is you have to know how to find distance. What's the formula we use for distance between any 2 points? Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. Okay, y2 minus y1 the whole square. This is the formula we use for distance between 2. Now coming to the section and midpoint formula. Section and midpoint. For that, I'll start with an example. Think there are 3 students here, A, B, and C. I'll draw a line, A, B, C. A is standing at this point, B is standing here, and C. So let us take, out of 3 people, let us take B as reference point, reference. Okay, who's close to B students, A or C? Which one is close to B, A or C? Distance, according to distance, which one is close? Near to B. A is near to B. For example, A to B, I'll take 10 meters. 10 meter. B to C, I'll take 15 meters. Okay, tell me which is close. A to B, right? Now let us take B as 1. B as the reference point. Let me take B as reference point. There are 2 students standing at A and 1 is standing at C. Who will reach B first? Will A reach B first or C reach B first? A reach B first. What's the reason? Why will A reach B first? Close. The distance is short, right? The distance is short compared to the distance from B to C. Now let me take 10 and 15. Reduce it in terms of ratio. 10 divided by 15. What's the ratio you get? 2 is to 2 is to 3. So let me write 2 is to 3. 2 is to 3. Okay, I'll explain like this. For every 2 steps A takes, how many steps will B take? C take. How many steps will C take to reach B? 3 steps, right? So A will reach B quicker than what C would take. This is the practical application of this section formula which we are going to study. Okay, here M and N is nothing but the ratio, the distance between A to B and B to C. This is what you take it as M, this is what you take it as N. Okay, now can you might have a doubt, why x1, x2 all different names? Whichever we take reference point, B is the reference point here, that we take it as X and Y. And the other 2 points, we take it as x1, y1, x2 y2. Fine. This is the practical application. If two people are standing A to A and C, okay, B in between, who would reach B soon? A would reach because the distance is less. So that is what we take, m is to n. What is the distance between A to B? It is 2. And the distance between B to C is 3 in terms of ratio. This is what we call m is to n. So in questions, they'll ask you the distance. You have to find m is to n. Or they'll tell you to find the points xy, x2, y2, x1, y1. Fine. Now this x1, y1, will again get back to this graph. Okay, we'll get back to this graph. Yes. It depends on, yes, that is correct. If C works faster, it depends on speed. That comes in physics. Okay, in physics, you'll have the chapter. Now, assuming that speed is constant, Tanishka, speed, both are traveling in same speed. Okay, good question. That comes under physics, but just assume both are traveling in same speed. If both are traveling in same speed, A would definitely reach B first, right? So your M and N is nothing but the difference between the distance, M and N. That usually they calculate in terms of ratio. So in this chapter, entire chapter, whenever you're finding M and N is nothing but the distance, students. Distance in terms of ratio, that's it. Fine. Keeping in mind that speed is constant. Both are traveling in same speed. A and B are traveling in same speed. Okay, not only this, I'll give another example. Now let us get back to x1, y1, x2, y2, those things. Look, A, B, and I'll take C here. Okay, can you tell me the point C? What's the coordinate for C, students? Give me the answer for C. Where does C lie? 3, comma. So C lies at 3, comma 3. 3, comma 3. B lies at, what did I tell? 5, comma 4. With reference to x and y, x should be written first. A lies at 2, comma 2. Now, the concept, whatever questions are given, actually even in textbook they haven't taught, they didn't give all these things. It was done already in 9th, it was done. Related to that, teachers have to teach you all. Okay, now look here. We'll take C as the reference point. Remember one more thing, whichever is center, which point is center? A, B or C, which is center? C is center. So usually whichever is center, we take it as reference. We take it as x, comma, y. And the other two, what do we take? x1, y1, x2, y2. That's it. Now the question is, which one lies closer? With reference to point C, which one lies closer, students? A or B? A. Just by looking at this figure, you all told A, right? But actual calculation, it is very difficult to find in practical application. This, when I told you all about this graph system, Google Map, and all those things. So when you look at this points, we know that A seemed to be little closer than B. So basically, you have to find the distance here, distance between A to C and B to C. That distance, if you all find, just think the distance you get 5 centimeters, and the distance between C to B is 10 centimeters. So what is the ratio, students? What is the ratio between M is to N? M, what's the value of M? 5. What's the value of N? When you reduce that, you get 1 is to 2. You'll get 1 is to 2. Fine. So see, center in the sense, okay, I use the other word. Who is in the middle? A, B, or C? C is in the middle, not center. C is in the middle. Okay. Now center. C is exactly in the center, students. C is exactly in the center. A and B are given. Both the speeds are same. Okay, both the speeds are same. Who will reach first? Both will reach first, same, at the same time. What will be the distance? If C is in the center, what will be the distance? Distance will be equal, right? Distance will be equal. If A to C is 5 centimeter, C to B also should be 5 centimeter. If you reduce them, what will be the ratio? M to N will be 1 is to 1. Did ma'am explain like this? 1 is to 1. Did you all read that? Forget about explanation. When you all started to solve the question, midpoint theorem. In okay, fine, I'll explain that. If C is in center, what do you call this point, students? If C is center, what do you call it? You call midpoint. If it is midpoint, what is the distance between M and N? It is always fixed. 1 is to 1. Is it clear? It is 1 is to 1. This is the actual concept. And the practical application is, as I told you all, distance between two things, three things you can find. Okay, Google Maps, even that uses the same similar concept, not same, little more advanced. And one more thing. Okay, I think enough. Only that one concept is enough. Who would reach first? Basically, you have to find the distance. Fine. Now, in this, students, can you tell me all the variables which we have? X is a variable, Y is a variable. What are the other things they can ask? Questions based on X1, Y1. Next. What are all the variables? X2, Y2. Then, what are the variables? M and N. So they can ask question related to M to find M. They can ask you all to find N, that is the distance, or they can ask you all to find the coordinates of point A. What do you mean by coordinate of point A? X1 and Y1. What is the value for coordinates of point A, students? What's the answer? 2, 2. So they'll ask you to find the position of A with respect to graph. Everything is related to graph here. So these are the possible questions. They'll ask you the position of A with respect to graph, position of C you have to find X and Y, position of B, X2, Y2. Right? There can be even 4 values. We can have even 4 values. Okay, now I'll give you the formula. How will you all find the distance? So basically, which is the reference point we took here? A, B or C? Which one? C as the reference point. So for C, X is unknown. Imagine that they've asked you to find the position of C. So what are the two things we need, students, to find the position of C? We need two things, X and Y. Right? We need X and Y. So for X, the formula is M into X2. Yeah, DSD, what's the formula you told? M into X2 plus N into X1 divided by. Okay, then for Y, what the formula would be, students? Same. In place of X plus M plus N. So this is what we are going to find in this entire concept. Maximum only these things you'll have to find. X, value of X, Y. Sometimes they'll ask you value of X1, Y1. Sometimes they'll ask value of M, comma N. And M, comma N is always ratio, students. M, comma N is always in terms of ratio. Okay, now did you all understand this entire thing? What is coordinate, section, midpoint? See, section is nothing but when C is not exactly in the center. When C is exactly not in the center, what will be the ratio of M is to N? Will they be same or different? It will be different. That is known as section formula. Yeah, and this one I forgot, section formula. The other one is called midpoint formula. Section and midpoint. See, same. In terms of graph, there are two people, A and B, two students, and C is the reference point. Okay, that is known as midpoint. The distance between AC is 5 centimeter, CB is also 5 centimeter, equal distance. So what will be the value of M is to N? Yes, M divided by N is 5 is to 5, 1 is to 1. So what do you call this point C? If it is in the middle, what do you call? Midpoint. Yes, midpoint. And remember, for midpoint, always m is to n value is fixed, students. 1 is to 1. I'll tell you how to derive that formula now. Okay, for midpoint, what they have given. Fine, only two. You'll have only two concepts. Is this clear? What is section formula and midpoint formula? Any doubts in this? You'll have any? So basically, you're just finding the distance here. That's the main concept of this chapter: distance and the ratio between them. Okay, now the same thing. M is to n, m plus n. This is section formula. When it comes to midpoint, what's the value for m and n, students? What's the value for m and n? Will it be same or different? For midpoint, m and n ratio will be 1 is to 1. It should be the same. So in place of m, can I write 1 into x2 plus 1 into x1 divided by what is m plus n? 1 plus 1, 2. Solve this formula. What do you get? What is 1 into x2? You get x2 plus x1 divided by 1 plus 1 is 2. In the same way, tell me for y. How will you find y? y2 plus y1 divided by. So this midpoint formula also we derived it from section formula. Nothing different. The only reason is m is to n value will be same, just because the point is in the middle. Okay, the point is in middle. Therefore, the formula is x2 plus x1 divided by 1 plus 1 is 2. These are the two formulas we have. Don't have to memorize anything. Whenever midpoint is asked, imagine a graph. There are 3 people and C is the reference point. We always take reference point as xy. And the other two is x1, y1, x2, y2. And together x1, y1 is called coordinate. Together x1, y1 value is known as coordinate. Okay, in this entire map, we call it as coordinate. You can use this even in the other way, even to track. Okay, even to track them. In some movies, have you seen if some thief escape, they'll detect it through this helicopters. Cops will use helicopters and find the location. I will seen come across some movies. Mostly in this Hollywood movies, they show that. So how will the cops track their location? They'll have different devices for that student that will show the graph system for them. Okay, in graph system. So if I place a point, if I tell, for example, some thief A is located in point 5, 4. Is it possible to place this point in the graph? 5, 4? 5, 4. So how many points are required, students? How many values are required to place a point? How many values are required? 2 values, x1, y1. So this is the point. Okay. So in helicopter, the cops will have a device. If you see from long point of view, all these roads will be narrow. Roads and everything will be narrow. You can't see it clearly. So they'll have a device, same like phone. They'll have a device. In that, these points will be shown 5, 4. Then they can directly track the points where the thieves are located. And as I told you, Google Maps and all these things. So basically, points. That's it. Keep that in mind. And if you start solving the question, you'll understand. Yeah, one more concept was left. Trisection. Okay, let me take trisection. Even this, yes. What do you mean by tri? What is tri? Meaning of tri. Not TRY, TRI. TRI. Tri meaning is 3. So in one line, I have to divide into 3 equal parts. That is known as trisection. Section is nothing but, look here. Sect. Sect is nothing but types. Different types or categories. Types or parts. Like same like in your school, you have A section, B section, C section. In that, trisection is nothing but you take a line. In that, I have to place 3 points A, B, and C. Okay, this is known as trisection A, B, C. And what will be the value? The value should be equal, students. What will be the value? Oh no, let me take another point D. Total how many paths it has to split a single line into how many paths? Trisection meaning 3 parts. First part, second part, third part. And the distance also will be same. What will be the distance from A to B if it is 10 centimeters? What will be the distance between B to C? Distance between B to C also will be 10 and C to D also 10. This is known as trisection. Okay, we are basically splitting a line into 3 parts. And again, when I talk about line, that line should be on the graph. Distance. Again, distance. So just imagine there is a line here. Randomly, they have drawn some line like this. Fine. This you'll have to split into 4 parts like this using the formula. Using the formulas, you have to split. You'll have questions based on that. Then, what are the practical applications? Next, triangle. Let me take a triangle like this. Last year we studied midpoint theorem. In midpoint theorem, do you all remember what is midpoint? All of you will remember what is midpoint? Yeah, what do you mean by midpoint? What is midpoint, student?